On November 1st, 2025, the world woke to a new reality, one that would reshape the global economic landscape for years to come. In a stunning move, the BRICS nations imposed a sweeping 100% tariff on all U.S. imports, sending shockwaves through international trade. This wasn't a traditional war, but an economic shockwave that rattled markets from New York to Tokyo, wiping out billions in value within hours. Overnight, American products became unaffordable in key markets: an iPhone in India, US, machinery in Brazil, all suddenly twice the price. Everyday consumers and businesses alike were left scrambling to adjust. Billions in American goods, already shipped or warehoused abroad, became unsellable, gathering dust as foreign buyers turned away. The move was a direct response to years of US economic dominance and the use of the dollar as a tool of foreign policy, which many nations saw as a form of economic coercion. BRICS, now economic powerhouses in their own right, saw the US-led system as a mechanism of control and struck back with unprecedented unity. This wasn't just a trade dispute, it was a challenge to the very foundation of American prosperity, threatening the core of its economic influence. Global supply chains were thrown into chaos, threatening jobs and the purchasing power of millions of Americans. Factories slowed, ports clogged, and uncertainty spread through every sector. The post-Cold War global order fractured overnight, leaving the US on the defensive and allies questioning their next moves. The era of unchallenged American economic dominance was over, replaced by a new era of rivalry and uncertainty. The world had entered a new, uncertain era, one where the rules of global trade and power were being rewritten before everyone's eyes. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, 5 major emerging economies that have come together to amplify their voices on the world stage. In recent years, the group has expanded, now welcoming Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the UAE into its ranks, making BRICS more diverse and influential than ever before. Collectively, these nations represent nearly half the world's population, billions of people across Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and South America, and command a rapidly growing share of global GDP, reshaping the economic landscape. For decades, these countries operated within a global system largely built and dominated by the West, but many felt underrepresented, their interests often sidelined or overlooked in key decisions. Frustration with their limited influence and powerful institutions like the IMF and World Bank brought them together, fueling a desire for change and a fairer global order. BRICS isn't a military alliance. Instead, it's an economic bloc focused on cooperation, development, and the pursuit of a multipolar world where no single power dominates. To achieve this, they've built their own financial infrastructure, such as the New Development Bank, aiming to reduce reliance on Western-controlled systems and foster independent growth. Their recent move to coordinate tariffs is the boldest step yet, signaling their intent to create a parallel economic order that challenges the status quo and empowers their members. BRICS nations are not just united by politics, they are major producers and consumers of vital resources: oil, manufactured goods, and agriculture. Their combined economic power makes their unity a force with global impact. By acting together, BRICS now rivals the influence of the G7, sending a clear message that they are ready to challenge old rules and reshape the balance of global power. Their coordinated tariff is more than just policy, it's a declaration to the world. BRICS demands a real seat at the table, and they're determined to be heard. The BRICS tariff hit American companies hard and fast. Tech giants like Apple, automakers, and farmers saw their markets vanish overnight. Stock prices plunged, factories in Ohio and farms in Iowa faced canceled orders and layoffs. The pain rippled through logistics, shipping, and small businesses tied to exports. The interconnected U.S. economy, built on global trade, was suddenly exposed as deeply vulnerable. Decades of offshoring and specialization now looked risky, not efficient. The tariff wasn't just a tax, it was a wrecking ball for American supply chains. Businesses closed, jobs disappeared, and economic panic spread. The crisis revealed the downside of globalization. When markets close, the whole model collapses. The American dream of endless growth through global trade was shattered. the nation faced a reckoning with its economic dependencies. The recent move by BRICS nations targeted more than just trade agreements. It struck directly at the heart of U.S. power, the dominance of the dollar in global finance and commerce. For decades, the U.S. dollar has served as the world's reserve currency, granting America immense influence over international markets and the ability to shape global economic policy. Now, BRICS has announced plans to settle trade in their own local currencies, or even a new digital currency, effectively bypassing the dollar and challenging its supremacy. This process, known as de-dollarization, reduces global demand for dollars, putting downward pressure on its value and shaking investor confidence. For everyday Americans, this shift means higher prices for imported goods. Everything from TVs and cars to clothing and electronics could become more expensive. As inflation rises, the purchasing power of the dollar erodes, making it harder for families to afford basic necessities and maintain their standard of living. A weaker dollar also means it becomes more expensive for the U.S. government to borrow money, leading to higher interest payments and budgetary pressures. Countries like China and Saudi Arabia, once major buyers of U.S. debt, are now seeking alternatives, diversifying their investments away from American assets. To attract buyers, the U.S. must offer higher interest rates, which in turn balloons the national debt and increases the financial burden on future generations. The dollar's dominance, once considered unshakable, is now facing real and unprecedented jeopardy on the world stage. The global financial system is shifting beneath America's feet, creating uncertainty and volatility in markets everywhere. The consequences of this transformation are profound, far-reaching, and will impact economies and people around the globe for years to come. The BRICS move forced the world to choose sides in a new economic conflict. U.S. allies in Europe and Asia condemned the tariffs, fearing global recession, but behind closed doors, they sought ways to keep trading with BRICS. German carmakers, for example, couldn't abandon China and lobbied for exemptions. Developing nations in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America faced a dilemma: risk economic fallout or seize new opportunities with BRICS. Many chose neutrality, hoping to benefit from both sides. The world split into competing blocs, echoing a new kind of Cold War, fought with tariffs, not tanks. International institutions like the UN and WTO were paralyzed, unable to mediate. The global order based on consensus was breaking down. Nations made choices based on survival, not ideology. The era of a single, integrated global economy was over. For everyday Americans, the crisis hit home fast. Grocery bills and gas prices soared as the dollar weakened. Imported goods, coffee, bananas, electronics became luxuries. Even US-made products cost more, thanks to pricier imported components. Layoffs spread from factories to restaurants and retail as consumer spending dried up. The American dream felt out of reach for millions. Anger and confusion grew. Some blamed BRICS, others blamed US leaders for years of risky policies. Political divisions deepened with fierce debates over protectionism versus global engagement. The crisis wasn't just economic, it shook social trust and political stability. The era of cheap goods and easy prosperity was over. Americans faced a new reality. Global events directly shaped their daily lives. As the shock settles, America faces a crossroads. One path: escalate with more tariffs, risking a global depression and total de-globalization. The other: accept a multipolar world, negotiate new rules, and share power with BRICS. This would mean reforming global institutions and giving emerging powers a real voice. At home, the U.S. must rebuild manufacturing and invest in innovation to regain resilience. The era of cheap imports and easy debt is over. A new model is needed. This crisis is a wake-up call. Foreign policy and economics matter to everyone. America's future depends on adapting, not clinging to the past. The choices made now will shape prosperity for generations. The post-American world is here. The challenge: learn to navigate it, earn.